them on our good friend, Chase Goodbread of NFL.com, Crimson Cover Television, and the Talkin' Tide podcast. It's here, Goodbread. Day one of the 2020 NFL Draft, and the most pressing question we have for you on this day, we're going to get out of the way right off the top. What you got going on the Big Green Egg for tonight?
Well, I'm going to have to sign on for remote work duty, obviously, about an hour and a half before the thing even kicks off. And so it's going to be Mrs. Big Green Egg running the steaks on the grill tonight. Yeah.
Wow. So what exactly will your duties involve tonight for that NFL.com coverage?
Be sitting here on the backyard deck with NFL Network on, and obviously in instant message touch with everybody back at headquarters, which is in Los Angeles, and they've got me in a rotation of 5 or 6 writers who are going to be responsible for more or less putting up instant little 3-paragraph news posts as things happen throughout the night.
Do you know anything about the plan for the broadcast tonight from the NFL Network perspective? I know it's supposed to be sort of a combined effort now with ABC, ESPN, and the NFL Network. What about Daniel Jeremiah and some of these folks? Do you know how they're going to be positioned going into all this?
I'm going to be as interested to see how it looks as a TV production as anybody. Obviously, it's going to have to be a hodgepodge of home studios. That's what we've been seeing throughout the last couple of weeks, and that's what I expect to see tonight. Sometimes with those home studio, sometimes those audio connections run a little slow, and there's a couple 3 seconds between questions and answers and whatnot. So it's going to be an interesting challenge for NFL Network and ESPN for sure to make this thing look as good as possible, although under the circumstances, obviously, it can't be anywhere near the production it normally is.
Yeah, I saw something, I guess, in fact, from DJ on Twitter a day or two ago. It looked like they were literally setting up a remote location with a mini production truck and everything in his driveway, just for him, just for his setup. So it makes me wonder financially, the cost that this is going to sort of entail because of the individual setups that you have to have everywhere. I guess at the club level, right, that's going to be on the individual teams to provide that. Right.
It will, and obviously there's going to be, I would expect to see quick little video conferencing features with various club reps and so forth. But it's usually, of course, you've got a reporter at pretty much every team facility who's handling one-on-one interviews. That's obviously that's out, that's gone. So maybe they cut away to the various reporters who would normally be at the facilities into their homes where they're delivering, what they're hearing, what they're being told, et cetera. So it's going to be unlike anything we've ever seen before in terms of NFL draft coverage.
Yeah, I've heard that Tony Khan of the Jacksonville Jaguars is actually going to originate from Wackos off Emerson there in Jacksonville, but I haven't been able to confirm that, Chase.
Yeah. Probably need 2 sources on that one, right? You got to double source that one?
Yeah, I only got one on that so far. I got to get that second one. I'm working on that. But, no, when we look at Tua Tagovailoa tonight, I mean, so much has gone back and forth with this guy in the last week or so. What are you expecting for Tua tonight? Is he even the first Alabama player off the board? Or is it kind of crazy to think he wouldn't be?
I think he is, but it's not impossible, certainly, that he's not. I've kind of stuck with Miami all along. I'm calling him to go 5th to the Dolphins, but a lot could happen if he gets past Miami. There's talk that Miami might have some interest in an offensive tackle, and that's fine. They just dumped Laramie Tunsil. That's something they've got to address, but I can't imagine Miami doing anything other than quarterback, the way they kind of cleared the decks last year. So You figure I see him going there. If he doesn't, and the Chargers are a serious consideration right after that with that number 6 pick. Now, where it gets interesting for Tua is if he gets past 6 somehow, well, then he's very well maybe not the first Alabama drafted player. Maybe it's Jedrick Wills. Maybe it's one of the receivers. But where does he go from there? What about the Jags, Travis, at 9? If he gets past 6, I don't think you let Minshew mania control your thought process at that position that early in the draft if you're Jacksonville.
No. Now, if it's Herbert that's there, then you stick with Minshew. For me and the Jags at 9 there, Chase, it's got to be an offensive skill player of some kind. If Tua's available, for me, it has to be Tua there. If Tua's not available, I think you got to go wide receiver, whether you like CeeDee Lamb, whether you like Jerry Jeudy. I don't care. If you're going to stick with Gardner Minshew, you've got to give him some more people to work with, some more people around him. And who knows what's going to happen with Leonard Fournette in the running back situation. But even if something does, you can go second round. You know, they've got 7 picks in the first 4 rounds this weekend. So that's some sweet spots for some running backs once you get out of round 1. Talking with Chase Goodbread of NFL.com, Crimson Cover Television, and the Talking Tide podcast. That's what's made a lot of this interesting in the last day or so, Chase. All this talk about offensive tackles. I talked about it in the opening segment of the show. And that's music to your ears if you're Jedrick Wills. Go ahead and start that run on offensive tackles at 3 if the Dolphins really want to do that. Because there are tackle-needy teams immediately following that 3rd pick with the Lions when you start talking about the Giants, or even you get into the Cardinals and the Jets and teams like that into the next 9 or 10 picks.
Yeah, the Giants, Cardinals, Jets, all of those have been linked to some of these top offensive tackles. Mekhi Becton from Louisville, the biggest of the group, 360 plus, and can really move for his size. He's an absolute freak. Showed a whole lot at the combine, that's for sure. You got the worst kid from Iowa. You've got Wills, of course, from Alabama, he's looked like an NFL tackle to me since the day he got to Alabama. So yeah, it's plenty to go around for talent at that spot at the top of the draft if that's what you need.
True or false here for you, Goodbread? Alabama's first round haul tonight will match that of Miami's in 2004, that being 6, which would tie Miami's all-time first round record from 2004. Is that true or false?
You know, I'm going to say it doesn't happen. I think they fall short of 6. The way the dominoes obviously would have to line up there, Alabama would have to have McKinney and Diggs both go in the first round. That's the Wills and Tua are obvious. The 2 receivers are obvious. It's those 2 defenders right there, and what's going on there. McKinney definitely, running that, messing up a hamstring, I guess, and running 4.6 something at the combine, and then not getting a pro day. That doesn't help him. He could still go in the first round. A lot of teams, I think, feel like he's the best safety in the draft, better than Delpit from LSU, as a matter of fact. But that doesn't mean he may not go in the first. And then Diggs has been mentioned as a guy who could go on the tail end of the first round. If I'm betting on one horse or the other, I think McKinney's got a better chance to be a first rounder than Diggs. Diggs seems to be more of a fringe guy for round 1. But yeah, to get to 6, that's what would have to happen.
Different positions, obviously, when you talk McKinney and Diggs, but when you sort of compare their potential to go in that first round tonight, does it essentially come down to tape? Is it that McKinney has that maybe a little bit more than Diggs, especially from a consistency perspective, or is it about the position that both play in terms of what's available this year in their respective areas? Is there a discrepancy between the number of quality safeties and corners this time around?
I don't think there's any question it's tape. I think the first part of what you said is what summarizes it there. I mean, look, if McKinney's tape and Diggs' tape were equally impressive, Diggs would be going before McKinney. Because of the position he plays, he's a better athlete, he's longer. I don't think there's any doubt.
Yeah, hard to disagree with that. Well, Goodbread, don't work too hard tonight, okay? And we'll be a couple blocks away, so we'll also be manning the grill. I know Michelle, that's capable hands there. She'll be just fine. But she'll probably make me look bad for one night. So.
We'll
catch up and recap everything from the menu to how this draft actually played out, hopefully here in the next week or so.
Sounds good, Travis. We'll see you.